Well, good evening. I'm Rick Dancer. Welcome to Get Real with Rick Dancer. And we are coming to you live from Billings, Montana. How many of you have been to Billings, Montana? I don't see any hands going up. So we have some interesting things to talk about tonight. Bill Lundun's going to be here. Did you know that gas prices in Oregon are the highest right now that they've ever been, ever, ever? They went up 21 cents in 1 week. 21 cents. How's that president doing for you guys now? I I tell you, what drives me insane is people coming on and arguing that President Biden was handed this, that he was given this. How come everything changed when he took over? The gas prices soar, we go into a recession. Oh, we can blame it on COVID. That was the way we reacted to COVID. And which, by the way, I'm hearing rumors that schools are having lots of cases of COVID, and and there's talk, at least in the Portland area, there's whispers bringing that mask back. And there's only like 2 months left of school. If I was a parent in my school district, the key is you have to act now. So you need to start calling the district if you don't want your kids in mask. And I guess if you want your kids in mask, you should be calling the district too and telling them, I think that's a good idea. But if you don't, you need to be starting now. I think the problem we have is we wait too long. Let's talk about voting real quickly. Had a lot of response to our voting yesterday and my little rant about how I'm beginning to think that does it really matter if you vote? Now, there is one side of me that will always think voting, it's participating and it is important. I do believe that. But a friend was writing me the other day, and if you look at the last 40 years since mail in ballots have come into play, and I was never against mail in ballots, but we have not had a balanced legislator, or at least a balanced, the, uh, the main branch, the administrative branch of our government. We haven't had a governor who is a Republican or anything else but a Democrat in about 40 years. So I wasn't telling people that you shouldn't go out and vote. I think you should go out and vote. But what I'm telling you is you can't stop at that. You have to do more than that. You need to be in your schools, in your school board meetings. You need to be following the city council, and you have to be at those meetings because the people that are the squeaky wheel, and they get the council listening to what they're saying. So I don't think it's anymore that we can just sit around and cast a ballot and say, well, there, I did my part. I think you have to cast that ballot and you got to keep those people accountable. Did you know one of the reasons, like last night, as of last night, there was only like 18% of Oregonians have voted, and you can go 18% in a primary election. And the problem is that the places like the county commissioners vote, the nonpartisan races, the issues, then people don't participate in that too. So you have a tiny percentage of the people in Oregon coming up with the laws or deciding who is going to run the county business. And that's a dangerous, dangerous thing. But you know, one of the reasons I bet that that's the way it is because Bill's going to talk to you about that. Oh, the legislature, they changed the way Oregon elections work. Do you guys remember when you were, when you were at 18 or when you started voting, you had to have your ballot in by 5 o'clock or 8 o'clock, by 8 o'clock on election day, or it didn't count. Well, guess what? The Oregon legislature changed that this last session. So now, as long as it's postmarked by election day, it counts. So that means the results, this could take a week to figure out who won and who didn't win. And then you wonder why Oregon voters are just getting complacent and don't care and don't want to do this. I was talking to a friend of mine, Tim, today too, and we were talking about back in the old days, you went and they stumped your candidate, stumped on a pulpit, and they talked to you. You went to a park, you went to the town square, you got to ask them questions, you found out who they really are. Now we rely on public relations firms to come up with commercials for these candidates. And so they're telling you who they want you to know who they are, not who they really are. And when you spend time with someone and listen to them, you really get a feel for what that is. Has social media helped that? I kind of think so in a way, because at least you get a feel for people like Mark Thielman. I see his commercials and his talks all the time, and I get a feel for who that is, or Betsy Johnson, or people like that. But is it helping? Are we doing our homework, or have we gotten lazy, and is that part of our fault? I don't know. I need help on that one. Kim, what do you think? I mean, are we just a bunch of lazy people?
I know. Well, that's what it feels like, doesn't it? I kind of and then I know what you're saying because you are always saying get out there and make your voice heard. So I know you're not anti-vote. It's just the fact that is it really you want to think to yourself, okay, are we making a difference? The way it works now, I mean, it's just so sketchy. I don't know. It's just so
I think
sketchy.
people are just so frustrated
Yeah. Hmm.
because you can vote and vote, and I think one of the big problems is you vote for something, it becomes the law, and then the legislature goes in and changes it. Like
Right.
Measure 11. They go in and
That's
now Governor Brown is releasing all these prisoners and deciding, you know what? I don't think that was the right thing, so I'm going to do what's best for Oregonians.
yeah,
Like a really bad
exactly.
parent, who
Hmm.
goes, okay, Ricky, what do you want? Well, I'd like to do this. Okay, well,
Hmm.
here's exactly what we're going to do, what I want you to
Hmm.
do. And that's what
Yeah.
Governor Brown does and the Oregon legislature. And I think people are
Right.
just done with it.
Yeah, people wanna be able to vote if it's gonna make a difference, not to know that years later it's just gonna change on a whim. That's the problem.
So it's going to be interesting. I was sitting here until I watched Bill's newscast that's going to air here a little bit. I was sitting here thinking, oh, I'll go online tonight and I can see if some of the people that I like and think should be, winning in county commissioner races and stuff like that. I can see how
Right.
they're doing. I'm not going to
Yeah.
know shit. I won't know anything. It's like this could, what are they going to do? They'll put it out in
Yeah.
the Eugene Weekly. Oh, that's a good. Did you see Eugene
Oh, they
Weekly
love
did.
you.
Oh, they love me. And they did a hit piece on Dave Lovell and they put it on their paper. It was out on their internet last night. A hit piece on
Oh,
him during the riots when Black Lives Matter people were rioting all over. They came to Springfield
yeah.
and David
Uh-huh.
Lovell owns a whole bunch of businesses down there. So
Right.
he and a bunch of his friends just got some guns, and they were just
Yeah.
standing on the street corner, which is perfectly legal, and just basically saying, "Don't mess around with my business because this is my property." And
Right.
nobody did, and everything was fine. Well, Eugene Weekly did a big, huge, scathing piece on him last night, puts it out there, and I thought that is so. And then on the same page, there's something with Joe Berney, his opponent. And I'm like, you know what? This
Right,
is
right, right.
this is why
Hmm.
people don't pay attention anymore, and they're sick of it.
Exactly.
And I mean, how
Yep.
biased. If you and I remember when we were in the news business,
Mm-mm.
we didn't do stories on election day
Nope.
or right before. We would have never been
Nope.
allowed to put out a piece like that right
Nope.
before
Never.
the
Mm-mm.
election. And
Nope. We
now
could never say anything about who we're. It's still hard for me to even tell people what my opinion is because it's so ingrained.
right. I
Yeah.
started because all of a sudden I got fed up. I don't tell people who to vote for unless they contact me personally, and I've had about
Right.
50 today because I put out yesterday, "Hey, if
They
you
want
wanna
to.
know who I think is gonna be good, just email me," and I thought that was
Yes.
opening the door, and I've had a ton of them.
Hmm.
But I appreciate that
Hmm.
people are doing their homework, you know? Um,
Exactly.
it
Yeah,
it is
and if you
crazy.
don't have time to do your homework, ask someone who does, like Rick. He knows a lot about them, or
Well,
I
and I
appreciate that too.
Right. I keep informed on this because it's important
Mhm.
stuff. So
Mhm.
tonight is sponsored by Elements Health Clubs. They have one in Springfield on Game Farm. They have one in West 11th, and they have one at Oakway Mall. And
Yes.
their health moment, what I love. Oh wait, I do have a little commercial I can run for them.
Oh, yeah, let's see their little
Clubs, you
commercial.
get more than a workout. You get results-driven fitness and nutrition help no matter where you're starting in your health journey. You get luxury club benefits like a heated pool, hot tub, sauna, steam room, and wellness centers. You get academy-level group training classes like HIIT, boxing, TRX, and barbell strength. And your kids get childcare centered around movement with activity and a purpose. You get 3 convenient locations with 1 membership. All the amenities of a luxury health club with the membership prices of a neighborhood gem. Elements Health Clubs, we are more than a workout.
Oh, that was a perfect segue, Rick, because part of what I'm talking about tonight is movement instead of exercise or instead of losing weight or getting fit. Movement. That's the key word. And I'll go into that in a minute.
Okay.
And this May is Mental Health Awareness Month, FYI. So on Thursday, in 2 days, on Thursday, we're going to talk to someone about mental health and mostly in adolescence. And so this kind of ties in tonight so exercise also helps reduce anxiety and depression. So exercise relates to mental health. And then also, well, I'll go into that. Do we want to do our question yet, or should we wait till
Let's
after?
do our question. So, and I'll
Okay.
have you type it in because I've already got something I
Okay.
have to put in here real fast for people that
Okay.
is
So you
funny.
guys, so tonight our question is not health related, but if you answer our question, Elements gives you a free 1 month membership. And if you're already a member there, you get your 1 month paid for. So it's kind of a win-win. So if you guys want to guess on this, then you can win that. So our question tonight, again, not health related. I'll go into health in a minute. But in what country is it illegal to own two of, let me see how to say this. I don't even know if I should say. Okay, I'll just say it. There's a pet that you can't own just one of. In what country? I'm trying to make it vague so you can't go Google this.
So
Okay.
in what country and
Real
what's the pet?
law.
Can you say the pet?
I don't know if I want to. Should I give it
Okay,
away? That's what I was wondering.
Okay. So
Let's start
in
with
this
this, and then I'll give
country,
you a hint.
so in this country, you
It's
can
illegal
only
to
have,
own one of this pet. Mm-hmm.
you can't
I'll
own
keep it
just one.
big.
You have to have
Yes.
more than one. Okay.
Yes.
People are already
Okay,
throwing
let's
me.
start with that.
So
And if
Kim,
you guys, if you like, yeah, let's do that first. Then I'll give away the pet if we need to.
okay, now I'm gonna put this in the little thing. Here's
Okay.
okay, so I can't show this because what happens is Facebook and YouTube hate each other. So Facebook will just not show anything. But you guys, there's a YouTube video out on that's the link to it. And this is about the new thing that the governor put in where there's going to be tampons in boys' restrooms in schools. Only in Oregon.
Oh boy.
I just want to come up to me and say, is it true that they're putting tampon machines in boys' restrooms in Oregon?
Oh,
And
someone asked you that?
yes. And I was like, I was embarrassed. I'm going to start telling people I'm from Oregon. But if you go on that link right there, after the show, go on there. A guy wrote a song about it with a guitar. He sings it, and it's absolutely hilarious. All right, Kim,
oh my gosh, I have to watch
I'm going to keep watching. I'm going to take people on a little tour of Montana real quick. And then we got Kim to talk about health. And then we have Bill Lundun coming up, and he is going to share the day's news with you. So Kim will be back in just a minute. All right. And let's take a look from one of our sponsors, Albert Taylor, changing people's lives with disabilities.
We have 15 homes. We have 60 individuals that are living in those homes. And then in addition to that, we have a number of individuals who are part of what we call our supported living program group. And those are people who do not live in a group home, but live in an independent setting. And we support them as well. And we have about another 25 or 30 people that we support that way.
So your tagline is endless possibilities. What does that mean?
That means literally people should take that at face value, is that our goal is for every person that we serve is that they get to live and enjoy the fullest, most complete life that is possible. Having a job, or it's learning a skill, or it's painting, or it's horseback riding. It is to look at people from a perspective of what is possible rather than through the eyes of limitation.
Okay, now as you guys know, Elements is really big on traveling, and Brian loves to go places, ghost towns and stuff like that. So Kathy and I are traveling around the state of Montana, and later this week on Thursday, we will be live at the world's largest bucking bronco sale, where Miles City, Montana turns into a giant party, and there's concerts and horses are traded and ridden, and it should be really fun. So we'll be bringing you some of that. But I also want to show you some of the places we've been in Butte and around the area. So I'm going to pull these up one at a time. There's some little fun facts in there for you to see. And we want to thank our friends at Elements Health Club for bringing you this little tour of Montana. Now, Butte, Montana has the largest historic district in the country. Those homes, they're everywhere. It's not like you almost get used to it, like to a point where you're going, okay, it's another beautiful place. But then when you leave there on Highway 90, you go right through the little town of Anaconda. And Anaconda is the place where they had a smeltering plant. So the copper that they mined, and we're going to have a mining story for you tomorrow. Kathy and I actually went down into the mines. And so I have a story about the mining industry. But the copper from there was then taken to Anaconda and used at a smelter. And this smelter has a smokestack that comes up, and it's 30 feet taller than the Washington Monument. And it's the largest brick structure still standing in the world. It's phenomenal. And then I want you to see some other things. I'm going to point these out as you go. I put the facts in there, but I'm going to point them out as you go. We also went and they had a cemetery there. I really like cemeteries. And in this cemetery, they had almost every grave had like plastic flowers on it, which tells me that people really care about people in a place when you continually have are remembering their passing and that kind of thing. It's a super cool little town. And so I'm going to give you a little picture of that. And then I'll come back and we're going to take you to Phillipsburg and a ghost town. So hold on. Here's the next one. Watch. Okay, that was all of it in there. And I got to tell you, Kim, that drive up to that little ghost town, it was so sketchy. 4 miles at the very top of it. It was crazy. And we weren't expecting snow up there because there wasn't snow until you got to the very last maybe 100 feet.
Oh, okay. I wondered why Kathy had a tank top on in the snow. I was like, wow, she is brave.
So Matt Kendall said it's illegal to own just one guinea pig in Switzerland.
Oh, Matt. Yeah,
is that true? He got it?
He got it. Matt, did you know that, or did you go look it up?
He's a realtor, so he knows everything.
He knows these random facts. Yeah.
So, Matt, you are the winner of a 1-month free membership to Elements Health Clubs.
Woo-hoo.
You can go to the West 11th,
over
you
there.
can go to Springfield, or you can go to Oakway.
Yeah.
We have pools at every one of them. Springfield has an outdoor pool. If you like to.
Just saying.
They also
just
have an
in
outdoor
time.
pool for family. That big pool that you always used to pretend to lap swim in, Kim.
I faked it. Yeah.
Did you see Matt? He says, He has too much knowledge in his head.
Or too much. Yeah, I know. I was thinking he just came up with that. Oh my gosh. Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
Kim,
that's true. And it's not just guinea pigs, by the way. It's also goldfish, I think, and then another animal. They make sure that these social creatures aren't by themselves, which of course you know me. I'm obsessed. I think that's super cute.
yeah. Well, Kim kind of learned the wrong way with rabbits. she
I
created
couldn't have just one either.
No, she has 400 now. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
Kim, one more thing I have to show you is this cute little cabin that Kathy found in Phillipsburg that we stayed in.
Oh,
It was
yes.
tiny. I
Okay.
mean, just a little cabin, but it's all made out of logs. So take a look at this.
Oh, good. Okay. Free beer coupons when you stay
And see
there.
that bed,
Yeah,
Kim,
was cute.
Kathy and I both said that is the most comfortable bed we've ever slept in.
Really? And you guys
Yeah.
have slept in a lot of beds.
A lot of
So
beds, and it's dark in there, so you're just like
that's
we
so
slept
cute.
in more than any other time in our life. I mean,
You're like,
was
it sleeps 4, but don't take the kids.
yeah, children don't need to be there.
No,
So
no, no. That's a little
Kim,
cramped.
talk to people. I'm gonna go away for a minute. You go talk to people
Okay.
about mental health and exercise and kind of and movement is what you were gonna talk
Yes.
about.
Yes, exactly. Okay, yeah, so we were kind of talking about this. So I let you guys know that on Thursday we're talking mental health. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so super serious issues there and ones that need to be addressed. And on Thursday we're talking with someone with the Elrod Center of Lane County. Some of you may be familiar with the Elrod Center, and she has a lot of tidbits for us on how their program works and how much they've done for the community. And we thought about, since tonight is Elements of a Healthy Life, we would just talk about kind of the benefits of exercise and mental health. And we already, probably most everyone knows that exercise does reduce stress and anxiety. And so therefore it does help with your mental well-being. But it's not just about exercising. It's not just about doing something that feels kind of like a chore. If you don't, enjoy the exercise you're doing, find something that you do love to do. So go out on a walk if it makes you happy. Find something that makes you happy. Find your happy place. For some people, the happy place is at the gym. And the reason why is because they're around other people and they're socializing. So we've talked a lot about with Elements Health Clubs and why gyms are so important for some people to have that camaraderie and what they mean to people. But it's not just like an elaborate boot camp. You don't have to go in there and kill yourself in order to reap the benefits of the well-being. And so there were a couple articles talking about kind of how in other countries, and we talked about Switzerland and the guinea pigs, how in other countries like in Scandinavia, for example, like people will be out hiking, cross-country skiing, and those things are just kind of built into their culture. And they do it because it's fun. They don't get back from a long hike or a long ski trip and say, oh, I got such a good workout. They're just saying, that was just a fun trip. So it's built into their lifestyle more. And, in America, of course, it is too, in some areas more than others. But just thinking about it as just part of life instead of, I want to go and burn off X amount of calories, or I want to go and gain muscle. Instead of looking at it in those terms, I think that if we had that different mindset, it would really help, because just a little bit of exercise will help your mental well-being. And they say that's especially true with larger people who are just starting out or getting into a fitness routine, who maybe hated it from a prior experience in, I don't know, Rick PE. Remember those PE tests when we were
Yeah.
young? They
Yeah,
don't do
well,
those anymore.
Well, I was reading something where it said that, or Kathy was talking to me, and she said that if you walk 5 miles, you
Mhm.
burn off the same amount of calories as you do if you run it. It
Mhm.
just takes longer.
Yeah.
So people, when they go out, you see people walking around, that's super healthy. And the reason you and I and Kathy and people like us work out is so that the other day, Kathy and I did a 9.5 mile hike in snow. Well, we
There you
couldn't
go.
do that if we weren't
No.
going to like Elements or a health club and getting ourselves
Mhm.
in shape. So we can
Right.
go out and do the things that
Right.
are fun. Water skiing.
Right.
You do not want to go out and go water skiing tomorrow. and not be going to the gym or keeping in shape, because you're going to go home.
I mean, you'll last 5 seconds. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So we do these things. It's not that we just love being at a gym 24 hours a day. It's not that. We like being at the gym and we have fun at the gym and we meet our friends there, but then we reap the benefits because we're able to go skiing and do these things for a long. I mean, I totally can tell when I haven't built up the muscles for ski season, I mean, it's just, it's one of those things. So you do it so that you can enjoy the things that you love, like Rick was saying. So it's a good point too. And just talking about how it helps with mental health in kids as well. Kids finding those things that they like to do, especially with fewer PE options or fewer sports that you have to really pay for sports now and things. It's not as easy as it was.
All right. Kim Stark, I know you got a couple of kids that are a little bit under the weather.
Speaking of kids.
So thank you for being here. You don't have to stick around, just take off. We got the question answered, Matt won. And thanks for doing what you do. Matt. On Thursday, we will have the Elrod Center on here talking about some really interesting things.
Yep, you're really familiar with them, I know, but this is kind of new to me too, to learn more about them. So that'll be fun for those of you who aren't familiar. We'll have that on Thursday.
All right, Kim, see you later. All right, Kim Stark, we thank her for what she does, and Elements Health Club for their sponsorship of our health segment. Now we're going to get into Bill, but first we got to hear from Dr. Bratlin.
This is Dr. Michael Bratlin with Christental. Oregonians allowed the lockdowns to remain in effect for 2 long years. 2 years. We allowed government officials to dictate what we put on our face and what we put on our bodies with little opposition and not enough questions. Why do I bring this up now? Because trust me, they will bring back masks next winter after the elections. Next time, don't be complacent. Actually follow the science and let your voices be heard. Next time, stand up to these power-hungry politicians.
All right, here's a look at some of the stories we're following. Well, today is election day, in case you didn't know that. And judging by the election returns so far yesterday, 82% of Oregon voters didn't know that. That's right. As of Monday at 5 p.m., only 18% of Oregon voters had actually returned a ballot. So the question is, are we going to have a historically low turnout for this primary, or are people just waiting until the last minute? Now, waiting until the last minute actually changed this year, courtesy of the 2021 legislature. So here's what they did. It used to be that you either dropped your ballot in a ballot box by 8 p.m. on Election Day, or your ballot had to be in the hands of your county election office on Election Day, meaning that you had to send your ballot in a week early. Well, now, thanks to the legislature, they've said, well, as long as it's postmarked Election Day, that's going to be okay. That's all right. So we really probably won't know the results of any of the elections really until a week, 10 days from now. Closer races, it may be into June sometime. And I like the fact that the legislature said, well, if we do this, it will increase the voting. 18% on Monday. Yeah, that's a whopping good idea. I love the fact that here in Oregon, we don't have to worry about deadlines anymore. Like, for instance, my Pacific Power bill says that I have to pay it by the 30th of the month. But this is Oregon. So that deadline, it's just a suggestion. I can really just, pay it anytime I want to. And Pacific Power will say that's okay because this is Oregon. We do things differently here. Speaking of doing things differently here, 3 counties today will be deciding on the question, do we want to stay in Oregon? Or, my God, do we get the hell out and join Idaho? Those 3 counties are Douglas, Josephine, and Klamath counties, and it all has to do with the Greater Idaho movement. And if these 3 counties, Douglas, Josephine, and Klamath, say, they will follow approval of the same idea in 8 rural counties, mostly in the southeastern part of the state, to push redrawing the boundary between Idaho and Oregon. But Douglas County is doing this a little bit differently. Now, the way most of the other counties are doing this is a suggestion that we want to look into it, and we want our county commissioners to regularly discuss changing the borders. Douglas County is different. The proposal in Douglas County would allow county commissioners to pay lobbyists or have county staff lobby the state and federal officials to change the state borders as opposed to just talk about it, as would be the case in the other counties. Now, in case you didn't know, changing the borders, in other words, Douglas County wants to be a part of Idaho. Okay, well, let's say that Douglas County residents say, yes, let's do it. We want out of Oregon. Screw this place. We want to go to Idaho where they have potatoes and a 6% sales tax. Well, it would have to be authorized by a majority of voters in the county. Secondly, the legislature in both Oregon and Idaho would have to sign off on it. And then Congress would have to sign off on the idea. But the new thing, the new wrinkle in Douglas County is now, instead of talking about it, it's actually potentially lobbying for it. Hey, congratulations if you live in Oregon. We set a new record today. Woo! That's right. These times, we have the highest cost for gas any time in the history of the state. $5.06 a gallon. Thank you, a 21-cent price increase over the course of the last week. It's the most expensive that gas has ever been in Oregon. On the national range, it's $4.52 a gallon. Highest state for gas on average, California, $6.02 a gallon. So an Oregon Republican gubernatorial candidate, Christine Drazen, is slamming Oregon Democratic leaders, mainly because of the party's silence in the aftermath of a Molotov cocktail attack on the Oregon Right to Life offices in Kaiser. Drazen was on Fox News today, and she said, "This is par for course here in Oregon. We had months of rioting in Portland streets, and Democratic leaders didn't stand up for Oregonians. They did not push back against political violence." She says right now, Oregon has a real problem with leadership. Captain Obvious. She says, the radical left is in fact leading our state right now. Criminal defendants in Oregon who have gone without legal representation for long periods of time amid a critical shortage of public defense attorneys filed a lawsuit Monday alleging the state has violated their constitutional right to legal counsel and a speedy trial. The complaint is actually now seeking class action status, and it was filed as state lawmakers dither and the Oregon Office of Public Defense Services struggle to address a huge shortfall of public defenders statewide. And the crisis has already led to the dismissal of dozens of cases and left about 500 defendants statewide, including several dozen in custody on very serious felonies without any legal representation. And it also leaves crime victims wondering, are these people ever going to go to trial? Am I going to ever see justice? Is my offender potentially going to be let out because he can't get a lawyer? So the lawsuit specifically names Governor Kate Brown and Stephen Singer. Singer happens to be the recently appointed executive director of the state's public defense agency. And the suit is asking for a court injunction ordering criminal defendants to be released if they can't be provided with an attorney in a reasonable period of time. Good time to go to jail and just claim, I can't afford an attorney. The lawsuit doesn't specify, by the way, what's considered reasonable. A report by the American Bar Association released in January, and I think we talked about that on this show, found that Oregon has 31% of the public defenders it actually needs. And the Oregon complaint focuses on 4 plaintiffs who've been without legal representation for more than 6 weeks, including a guy who can't afford his bail, who's been jailed for 17 days without an attorney, but he can't seek bail because he needs to have representation. Now, you may think, how is this so screwed up? Well, Oregon is more complicated than other states, go figure, because our public defender system is the only one in the nation that relies on contractors. So cases are doled out to either large nonprofit defense firms or smaller cooperating groups of private defense attorneys that contract for cases, or independent attorneys that can take the cases if they want to. Well, now some of those large nonprofits are refusing to take cases because they don't have enough lawyers. Private attorneys, which is the normal relief valve where there are conflict of interest, also are rejecting new clients because the state pays them late. Yes, the state of Oregon is late getting the checks to them. And this goes back to our first story on there are no deadlines in Oregon, which is why our elections are going to be screwed up now and into the future. Was I editorializing too much? All right. And coming up tomorrow, Rick and I are going to be chatting live, I guess, about the elections. So it'll be a tandem dose of reality. It'll be the real twins. Anyway, see you tomorrow and have a great evening. And I hope you voted. Get real, Rick.
All right. So Bill will be joining me tomorrow night. I was still waiting with bated breath to find out. We're going to talk about his impressions of what's going on and what's happening. Getting lots of comments on here. Lots of you disagree with me. That is absolutely okay. That's why I'm living in Montana, because I want to have people around that can disagree with me. Share this on your page. Let other people know what we're talking about, what conversations are going on. Tomorrow night, we'll take you down. Kathy and I will take you down into the mines at Butte. That's going to be super fun. We'll also have Rosa Real Estate, Transworld Business Advisors, and Chris Dental here to talk about what they're doing. And Bill Lundun will be our main guest, who'll be sharing with you his impressions on the election. Even if we don't have numbers, I want to know what he's thinking. We're going to try to do that once a month with him. So that's it for now. I'm going to go with my wife and explore Billings, Montana. Have a great evening.